All right, gentlemen, and some ladies out there, if you're watching, welcome to the Backbone Podcast, the podcast where common sense still makes sense. And in a world that is just sick and getting sicker, and it just doesn't, this world just doesn't seem to outshine itself or outsick itself, if I may say. We have a lot going on in this world. Unfortunately, more bad than good, but we're going to try to keep it real here. And I want to bring up something that brings me joy, a lot more pain. Pain sometimes. I'm a big Inter Milan fan, and the last 15 years haven't been the greatest. They've been pretty good winning championships. They've been pretty good. They've made the Champions League final for the second time in 3 years with one of the most extraordinary semifinals you'll see. I think this was the greatest semifinal I've ever seen in any sport. What they did with Barcelona, that match over two, well, over that semifinal over two legs was absolute opera and drama. You could not get any better than that. And I know a lot of my American friends, they laugh at me when I say this, but football at its highest, at its peak, is the greatest sport in the world. These athletes, the way they just run up and down a field, very few substitutions are allowed. These guys the other day left everything on the field at San Siro, which is in Milan, if you don't know. Inter's home. The first leg was a 3-3 draw, which you could not have asked for anything more. If that first leg was all you got your money's worth 3 times. But what the second leg in the semifinal did in San Siro was of mythical proportions. It was a Herculean effort on both sides. Inter take the early 2-0 lead. Barcelona come back and draw 2-2. Barcelona then get a late goal by Rafinha in the 87th minute at 3-2, which I thought the game is over. And then Acerbi, a 37-year-old defender, I believe it was his first goal that he's ever scored, scores in the 94th minute. And the place just went absolutely apeshit. Now, I have been to some pretty darn good games in my time. Some great football matches. I've been to some great baseball games. I grew up in New York, and I was a big Yankee fan, and I still am. I went to Jim Leyrit's 15-inning home run against the Seattle Mariners back in, I think it was 95. I was at all 3 games in 2001 when the Diamondbacks had the Yankees on the ropes, and Jeter hits the home run. Martinez hits the home run in the bottom of the 9th to tie the game, and Jeter hits the home run. It was the first home run ever hit in November. And then the next night, Barocious ties the game up basically the same way. It was a replay of the night before. It was just magical. I mean, it was just crazy what was going on. So the Yankees gave you a lot of things. I saw Joe Montana and John Elway do these crazy, unbelievable comebacks when football was great. Not today, not like today. Some great auto racing. I'm a big Formula One fan, and just to see some of the auto racing that's happened over the years, especially with Ayrton Senna, who was one of my heroes. But this game here had everything that it was like a movie. The drama, the back and forth, these guys never giving up. And the great thing about this tie was, and I know some Barca people were screaming, yelling at the official. There was no real controversy. There was no, missed offsides. There was no missed penalty kick. There was no bad enforced penalty. Both games were pretty darn clean, and both teams, who I think are 1 and 2 best teams in the world, gave you their apex. This was the zenith of football. It was on par with the 2022 World Cup final between Argentina and France. This was as wonderful and as epic as Italy Germany 2006 semifinal. This was up there with I was not alive at the time, but the Italy West Germany semifinal in Mexico. That was a 4-3 in overtime in extra time. This was Italy Brazil 1982, the 3-2 game where the games just went back and forth, and the iconic immortals that were on that field it's just incredible. It was just incredible. And here's the same thing. This was as great as it gets. Thank God my team won. I would probably not have been so chipper as I am today. But but I can say in my older years that I mean, obviously Barcelona lost and they're going home, but they were. If there's a team that didn't deserve to lose, it was them. Now, let's put one thing in perspective. Barcelona can't play defense to save their lives, and Inter didn't. If you had told me 2 weeks ago that Inter would give up 6 goals in the two legs, I would have thought we were cooked. They had no chance. But for Inter to score 7 goals the way they did, and to have a 2-0 leads in both games, in Barcelona, in Milan, and blow them both, and still come out on top, is just extraordinary. Now today, PSG eliminated Arsenal in a very tactical game, very good game. Arsenal gave it a go, but Arsenal, of the 4 teams that were in the semifinals, Arsenal were clearly the weakest of the 4. And now it's set. Milan versus PSG, Inter Milan versus PSG, which has got to be the best dressed final in Champions League history. I mean, you got Milan and Paris going against each other, and that will be in Munich. And I got to tell you, both teams have great goalkeepers. My adage is that the team with the best midfield and the best goalkeepers usually win. Both of these teams have both. Both these teams have great midfields. Both these teams have immense goalkeepers. Unfortunately, I think PSG has the best goalkeeper in the world in Donnarumma. He made Sommer made some saves yesterday that were just you shake your head. You don't know how the hell he did it. Donnarumma made 2 saves today that were just incredible. It was just like these were iconic Buffon-like saves today. And so it's going to be very interesting. I think Inter, who are in second place for the Scudetto in Italy, will probably have to sacrifice the league title to get everybody rested and in shape, in form for the May 31st final in Munich. I don't think that they can go after both. They have guys who are just injured. They're exhausted. Both teams have had long seasons. PSG plays in a less competitive league. I hate to say that, but they do. But Inter right now, they're just an exhausted team, and they came out of this war with their heads held high and the respect of the world, except for probably the English press, who always find something wrong with any Italian team, but anybody that isn't English. I think I was listening to Talk Sports today, where they were saying that Arsenal were just as good as any of the teams that were in the semifinals, and that's just not true. That's absolute nonsense. Arsenal wouldn't have beaten Inter. Arsenal would have never have had a chance against Barcelona, and I think Arsenal only had the score was only as close as it was with PSG, because PSG aren't built to score a lot of goals. But the final, I'll get back to the final a little later. It should be very interesting. I think it'll be a tactical game. Both managers are brilliant tacticians. Both teams are disciplined. Both teams know how to win. Both teams have great midfields. Inter have the best defense, and both goalkeepers. If I had to give the advantage, I think Donnarumma is the best goalkeeper in the world. I give the advantage to PSG, and that might be enough. But we'll see. That's why we play the 90 minutes or 120 minutes with my luck, because I almost had a heart attack yesterday. But yeah, so that's the good stuff. Now on to the stuff that just makes you scratch your head. It just makes you wonder what people are thinking, where this country is going, and are we in danger of having something terrible happen the rest of the way? I wanted to talk to you about this Shiloh Hendrickson's woman, and what many people in the media, many people on social media, are calling white burnout. This woman is from Rochester, Minnesota, and apparently, according to her, she was at the park with her child, and a black child, or a minority child, I don't know if the child was black or not, she used the magic N-word, was supposedly stealing something or going through her bag. And she referred to the kid as that magic word, and all hell broke loose. This is from NBC News, of course, for informational purposes. Let's
child, 5-year-old,
do a little bit of this.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech, and you can be the that.
I don't give
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that. What the internet has to say about you.
All right, so the guy recording it obviously is also a minority. And he immediately says, we're going to see what the internet is going to say about you. So this guy is basically just like another woman. I mean, he's just going to try to get validation from strangers, and try to get this woman destroyed on the internet. Now, police are now investigating this as a hate crime, which is, I mean, don't these cops have something else better to do? So this woman, who isn't, this is not a Rhodes Scholar here. Okay. I mean, look at the red flags. She's got tattoos all up and down her arm. She doesn't seem like the most sophisticated person in the world. I don't know her. She maybe she graduated. Maybe she's a doctor at the Mayo Clinic. Who knows? But does the federal government, does the Rochester police, does the Minnesota state legislature have to get involved in this? What if the roles were reversed? Would we even know this story came out? Would we even know this happened? I see stories all the time, live video on Twitter, on various platforms, of white children being not harassed, not called certain names, but being beaten in the street, with adults in the background saying, egging them on. And we never hear any type of investigation about that. And this is the reason why I think we now have, as many people believe, this white burnout. People are just sick. White people, I guess, are just sick of this. I guess you can call it double standard. I guess maybe you can call it, I guess white guilt is coming to an end. I guess that guy, that cartoonist, what was his name? Scott Adams, when he came out and said, hey, listen, just get the fuck away from these people. I think he had a point. Maybe diversity is not our strength. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who thought that up, but I don't think we were meant to live with each other. It doesn't seem that we can get along. We're all different. We're just different people. We have different purposes, different virtues, different morals. Now, I don't know this woman from Adam, obviously. She's on the other side of the country. But this story seems that this guy, Omar, who was taking the video, he catches her on his camera, and he asks her to repeat what she said, and she repeats it. And I think she then called him the magic N-word. Now, the office of Senator Amy Klobuchar, Democrat from Minnesota, estimated the number of people in the state that have Somali heritage, so apparently this boy is from Somalia, is over 86,000. Now, I wonder if he's legal or not. Rochester congressional delegation issued a joint statement commending Omar for standing up and protecting one of our youngest community members, and commending condemning the vile acts of racism he has described. The NAACP, yeah, we all know about them. The NAACP Rochester branch said in a statement that it stands in solidarity with the impacted child and called on the police, the Rochester City Attorney, and the Olmsted County Attorney's Office to investigate and charge the woman in the video, suggesting that her interaction with the boy may have been a hate crime. This is where people go nuts. Because, listen, what the woman said, would I have gone that far? No. But just because she called him a certain word does not make this a crime. Give me a break. Sooner or later, this has got to stop. Sooner or later, this has got to stop. There has got to be other things that these people can do in the attorney's office and in the city, the Rochester City Attorney's Office and the Attorney's Office of Olmsted County. They must have much more important things to do than to investigate this. This was just a low-value woman not being able to control herself. In a statement, what happened in the park is yet another painful reminder of the hate that continues to exist. Protesters are expected to gather Monday. Well, this is old, obviously, at the Protect Our Child Arrest and Charge event organized by Rochester Action People's Community. Minnesota law defines one type of assault as an action taken with an intent to cause fear. Now, if this boy was stealing this woman's stuff, she has the right to defend her property against anybody. And she can yell at this boy if she wants to. He has no business. He should know better. Well, he should not know better. I don't know. He's like 7 or 8 years old, but he needs to talking to. Separately, it states that if a hate crime was taking place when someone is assaulted because the victim's actual, let me read that again. Separately, it states that a hate crime has taken place when someone is assaulted because of the victim's actual or perceived race. It's a misdemeanor. Well, there should be a lot of misdemeanors going around then. I mean, hate crimes cannot just be white to black or white to Asian or white to Middle Eastern or Hispanic. It's got to go both ways. And let me tell you, it is not both ways. It does not go both ways. And this woman now, she has now started a what do they call those things? Not a GoFundMe, a Give Send Go, where she has raised upwards of $600,000 from people. This is this is the evidence of white people having enough. This is the evidence of white people having enough. Because now these crimes or these incidents that are happening aren't just white people losing their jobs, getting destroyed, and then going away. Now people are going on the internet. People are setting up these FundMe accounts, and they're making big money. Just like the family of Carmelo Anthony's making a tremendous amount of money. Now it seems that this boy, the guy who recorded this action, this Omar fellow, who knows if he's legally here or not, he claims that he's being harassed and he's receiving death threats, and now he started a GoFundMe or a Give Send Go account, and he's making money off of this. Maybe that's the way to go. Maybe this is just the way to do it. Call somebody a racial slur, go have it recorded, put it on the internet, start a GoFundMe page, and make a $500,000. I would suggest not doing that because there's no virtue in that. But again, listen, who am I to talk, right? Would the Stoics have done this? Absolutely not. But it is what it is. This is the type of world we're living in. It's a sick world. And if you look at this woman here, regardless of if you're in favor of her defending herself or not, I mean, the red flags are all over the place. The language, the lack of control, the tats all over the place, the bleach blonde hair, just the way she's carrying herself, the fact that she's doing this in front of her baby. I mean, if that was my wife carrying my baby around like that, putting that child in danger, you don't know what that guy could have done. He could have put that phone down and shanked her. It's absurd how she behaved. And it's not absurd that she stood up for herself. It's absurd that she put herself in that position with her child there. Now, have white people had enough of black and minorities in these situations? Absolutely. This is going to come to a head sooner than I ever thought. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime, but I think it is. I think now people are starting to really start to recognize, and social media is a big catalyst in this. People are starting to stew a little bit more. Before social media, you used to have men groups, or groups of people that used to meet up in clubs, and they would talk and bitch and moan to each other, and then they would, kind of convince each other that they're the victims, and then they'd get together and form things called the Bolsheviks or the Nazis or the Enlightenists, or the various different groups. Now, and then those were, basically it was 10 guys who got together. Those 10 guys turned into 100 guys. 100 guys turned into 200 guys, and so on. It took time to grow. Now it doesn't take that time. It doesn't take time at all. You go on Twitter, you go on Rumble or one of these places, and this will explode, as we're seeing here. This woman's probably going to be a multimillionaire by the time this is all over. Now, should she have handled this differently? Should she handle this better? Of course. But she's a woman. What do women do not need responsibility or accountability, right? They think emotionally, and she was totally emotional there. Now, the guy behind the camera was also emotional, right? He's not part of the Western world. This is how these people react, right? He's going to give it to the internet. He's not going to take it upon himself to do anything. But everybody seems to be making money here, and they're all profiting off of bad behavior. And whoever's giving these people this money, look in the mirror and shame on you. You're just basically condoning low-value bad behavior. Low-value bad behavior from a low-value woman. And this story will probably continue to be on the news as she continues to make more money. Something else might happen. But it's as I said, my intro, it's a sick world and only getting sicker. Yeah. This is sick. This is just, I never thought it would get to this stuff, but I think I to be honest, I think this is just the beginning. I don't see this getting any better at all. And that's why the Stoics talked about the power of choice. And that's where I wanted to get in the man memo today. Because we all have choices. And for men, for women, of course, they can make choices too. They rarely make the right ones, especially when emotions are involved. But in our journey with the Stoics, we understand that our emotions stem from our judgments and not the events themselves. The profound Stoic principle of choice isn't about choosing what happens to us. That's often beyond our control, but choosing our response, how we handle things after they happen. Believe it or not, in that choice lies our freedom and power. Shiloh is reliant now on this GoFundMe page, or Go Give Send, or whatever it is. That's what she's relying on now. And so is that guy Omar. They're relying on other people. They're slaves right now. They're slaves who are making $500,000, but they have to rely on people. And who knows? She may lose that money in lawsuits and in lawyer fees. But the Stoics teach us that between that stimulus and the response, there is space. Within the space lies our power to choose our response. This idea is incredibly empowering. It means that no matter what life throws at you, we have the last say on how we respond. Whether it's a rude comment, a financial setback, a personal loss, our emotional responses is ours to choose and ours alone. No one can goad us. We're too strong for that. Now think about it. Think about this for a second. Events come at us in quick succession, and our emotions can react just as quickly. Sometimes in a split second, we don't even know it. What we must do is react like fencers. You know, those guys with the swords? A skilled fencer who decides which steps to take on the strip is in full control. He decides how he will maneuver and react to his opponent, in this case, circumstances. He chooses how to move around or away from the emotional impulses or the attack, or the emotional attack, I should say. This doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. It's about acknowledging them and deciding the best course of action that aligns with our values and purpose. I should have came up with a better word than feelings, but I don't like the word feelings. The long-term goal is to develop what the Stoics called prosochi. It's being aware in the present moment, being grounded in the present moment, recognizing emotional triggers, and consciously deciding how we'll respond. You will never lose control as long as you're grounded. You'll never say something stupid as long as you're grounded. You'll never do something stupid like hit somebody or, maybe get yourself hurt if you're grounded. If you practice the present moment, stand there, breathe, and then go on. By practicing mindfulness, we can widen that space between stimulus and response, giving us the time to choose our actions wisely. I have a buddy, longtime friend. This happened when we were in our 20s, early 20s. We were in a bar out in Long Island, and of course, it's always about women, right? And we got into a little bit of a shoving match with a couple other guys because I was talking to a girl who supposedly was taken, but she wasn't acting like she was taken. And a buddy of mine who is big reacted violently. He hit a guy, punched him, knocked him out, killed him. This friend of mine, was in law school, went to jail for 3 years. Law practice gone. Future, he's doing pretty well now, but he was supposed to be a big time lawyer in his family. He came from a family of lawyers. But that one single moment ruined that great, prosperous, potential life. And of course, a kid who probably if he could have thought it over, would not have done what he did. He ended up in the cemetery, which is a horrible thing. This was a complete accident. It was just punch down. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. Fortunately, it happened to this great kid, and we still talk today. He's doing pretty well, but it was a horrific time. But he didn't choose his actions wisely. None of us did. But this is what Stoic philosophers like Seneca practiced to remain tranquil in times of extreme stress. Seneca suggested that we should rehearse worst case scenarios in our minds, not to dwell on them, right? So when something's coming at you, and I know it's very difficult to do, it's easier said than done, but always think of the worst case scenario that could happen. If I hit this guy, I could kill him. If I push somebody, they can have me arrested, especially if you push a woman. Forget it, you'll go to jail. If I punch the TV, I'll have to buy a new one. If I punch the wall, I might break my hand or put a hole in the wall. It'll cost me later. Always rehearse a worst case scenario in your mind so you stay grounded and you won't dwell on it later. By doing so, we become less reactive and more responsive. Children and women react. Men are responsive. Moreover, embracing the Stoic approach, it helps us build resilience. Nothing will bother you once you know how to control your responses. This woman here, and she's a woman, so women are based on emotion. Had she controlled her response, none of this would have happened. And again, I'm not saying that she should have let this little boy, go through her bag. No, tell the kid to get the bleep out of here, go kick rocks, and take your bag and get out of there. But she escalated it to a point where now she might have a prosecutor coming after her. Now her whole life will be a newsreel. And resilience doesn't come from avoiding challenges. I'm not saying that she should have just, let the kid steal from her. Right? There's always going to be challenges. But from facing them with clarity and determination every time. She could have been a bigger adult and said, that boy was stealing from me. I'm not going to allow him to steal from me. If you have a problem, go call the police. That guy with the phone, the last thing he wants to hear is police, because believe me, dollars to donuts, he's probably here on some expired green card. Maybe not. But I would put a $2 bet on it. We choose a response that keeps us aligned with our purpose. We have to always remember that our purpose is the most important thing to our evolving. And this strengthens our ability to handle future challenges more effectively. And that's the memo. Hopefully that helps. We always have to be the bigger person. So let me know what you think. Thank you again, guys, for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful out there. Be careful out there, my friends. Satan is always busy. Be a man. Have a backbone. Because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. We'll see you later.